Hello everyone and welcome to, let's call it a state of the ABL. I don't know how often I'm going to get an opportunity to do these, but I had a short day and I just kind of wanted to talk. So I'm going to talk about Pokemon. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. So, couple things since I've last recorded. Number one, thank you everyone for participating in Season 19. Went really well. Congratulations to Brett. Biggest takeaways from this season, I think, are we need to continue to re-examine terrestrialization. Season 20, construction has already begun on the document, thanks to Brett for that. If his numbers are accurate, and I think that they are, I'd like to think that that he's got it down here. Looks like we have about 66 Pokemon to add to the pool. I'd say 40, no, maybe not that high. I don't know, maybe 30+% of those are, 30 to 40% are Iron tier Pokemon, so not a huge impact, but still a significant amount of Pokemon going to be added to the higher tiers. So, let's talk about higher tier Pokemon, because there was a pretty big discussion on Terra and how we wanted to handle it going forward. Now, we have seen unrestricted Terra in Season 18, and in Season 19 we had the Terra Captains. I do think there's a little bit of a concerning trend due to the fact that just Volcarona with Terra won back-to-back championships. I do think that may be telling that it's maybe an issue. So, I think that we need to look at that. Either we need to ban Volcarona, or at least vote on it. I would vote ban. Or if we want to restrict Terra further, we could do that. Now, the discussion was brought up, and I think it's got merits. Because I also think I kind of championed it for a little bit, but I'm not opposed to the idea of doing a Silver, Bronze, and Iron Pokemon can Terra, Platinum and Gold can't. Or even if we just had Platinum being the cutoff, whatever. I think that there may be some merit to that, but at the same time there's some problems that have been brought up by Logan, and I want to give him a lot of credit for this, but I'm also going to quote myself, because I think he kind of pushed an ideology that I have also been behind in the past, and he put it pretty eloquently. Well, I put it eloquently, and because I'm stealing his thoughts, but his point was, we know what the tiers look like with Terra. That's how we constructed them. We constructed them with Terra in mind. If you say, hey, this, only Silver and down can Terra, then are there Gold tier Pokemon that then move down to Silver because they can't Terra, in which case they could Terra, so they move up to Gold. So they're in this weird liminal space between tiers where it's not worth it to take them in Gold because they can't Terra, but we can't have them in Silver because then they could Terra. I think that is an issue. The other issue is the Landorus Eye problem. We want to have a tier where people can play as many Pokemon as possible. That's why we've done things like, back when Protean and Libero were bigger issues, we had things like, hey, you can't take this Pokemon with this ability. Like, that ability and that Pokemon combination are banned. And I think it was most noticeable as a problem with Landorus Eye, because we had Sheer Force banned, Landorus Eye Sheer Force banned, but Sand Force was allowed, and I've been very vocal in the past about saying, hey, that's not a real Pokemon. That Pokemon doesn't exist in any format other than Draft, and nobody takes it because A, I don't think we know how to value it properly because we haven't ever really seen it used, and B, there's no data on it. So you don't even know if you're getting a good value. We could put it in Silver and I don't think people would take it. Maybe people take it as a chance, but they still don't know what to do with it. I don't know how you build, you're taking it because it might be a value. I don't think you can build around it. It just hasn't been explored enough. But that is the point that Logan was making with the restrictions on that. So with that in mind, I'm leaning a little bit more towards just ban stuff that we think Terra's busted on. But we'll figure it out. The other thing I want to explore is we do have a third option that we haven't yet tried or discussed, is we do have the potential to do Terra at team preview. So everything could Terra, but then when you're battling, you can see what Terra types your opponent could have. I do think that could change it. We have the ability to do it on Showdown, so I don't know if people are interested, but it's an option that I want to float out there. So just to circle back to the top of this, Season 20, under construction. Teal Mask gave us about 66 terrible Pokemon to add to the pool. And then Indigo Disc, I expect to be a similar number. So I think we're probably looking at 120 to 140. Let's be optimistic. 120 to 140 Pokemon to add to the pool for next season. I want to know how people like the North and South setup. I'd like to continue that for at least another season, but if people would really just rather do one big league, let me know. I think we're probably getting to the point where we could handle that. But yeah, I think those are the things to consider for Season 20. Let me know if there's any other big ones you want to talk about. Also, we're doing the Iron Sheik right now. Thank you to Dakota for managing all of that. Thank you to Brett for helping him out with the document. And you know what? I'm just, since we don't really have much else to really touch base on, I guess I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Iron Sheik and how the draft went, I think. I'll probably do like, for each team, I'll do 2 things I like and 2 things I don't. I'm going to try to be as unbiased as I can. So, Dakota's team. I really like the Raichu pick. I think it's probably the best electric type in this format, giving him an electric immunity on top of the fact that it makes him more potent as an attacker if he actually is able to make that work. In addition, having Grass Knot Surf to hit ground types in this format is great. Not a ton of ground types, and the ones that are there are usually weak to either Forex weak to grass or water, so very good for him. That's great coverage to have on it. I like the Kamala pick. Having a reliable stealth or rapid spinner, it's fantastic. Ghosts aren't super prevalent in this. Honestly, off the top of my head, I see, well, not off the top of my head, I'm just looking at the sheet. I see 3, 4 in the whole thing. So, I mean, but they're potent ones, and it's good to have a normal type around. But the biggest thing is, there are so few good steel types, and there aren't that many rock types, and especially since you get Earthquake and Superpower, you can deal with those. So I think like very few ghost types, very few Pokemon that resist normal. Kamala's decently strong. I think I like that pick. I like that pick a lot. Things I don't like on the team. I don't like Braixen. Let's see, there were only 2 fire types taken after Braixen. Camerupt immediately after, and Macargo kind of a long time after. Really, the biggest edge that Braixen has over them is the fact that it can wish, because both of the other Pokemon are fully evolved, can hold items other than Eviolite, so Braixen has to deal with hazards being up. Now, Dakota does have Rapid Spin on Komala. I don't think Skuntank got Defog anymore, but Cramorant has Defog. So he does have some hazard controlling options, although he only has 1 rocker on the whole team. So the hazard wars with Dakota might be interesting. But I don't think Braixen's going to be as effective as he might hope, particularly as a special attacker. And then obviously, not obviously, maybe obviously, I don't like the Graveler pick. I think his point was there's very few ground types remaining, so he had to go with an NFE, which is true and it's not. There were no more. The only other ground type that was on the list was like it was something bad. I don't know, but like other ground types that get Stealth Rocks that were available And granted, this, I want to point out, not a great list. But if you're willing to go with NFE, I think Graveler is probably the least good option behind stuff like Gabite and Krokorok. And honestly, one that I like better than Graveler is, oh my god, I've forgotten the name of it, Pupitar. I think those are probably things I would have considered personally over Graveler. I just don't think Graveler is... there's not much you can do with it. But then we'll move on to my team. So as far as my team goes, I'd say the biggest problem with my team, and I rectified it in an ad drop. I don't know if Dakota's posted it yet, actually, as of the time of recording. But I dropped Electrode because I drafted it thinking it was a dual screener, because it used to be, but no longer gets dual screen, so that was a bad pick. Because it, as an electric type Pokemon, in and of itself is garbage. It gets less coverage than Regieleki, and also is weaker, so isn't that fun? And it doesn't get Rapid Spin, totally should. And I'd say another weak point of my team is I defend a Swalot. It's good. It's a good pick. I don't think the Altaria pick is good. I kind of wish I had done something else with that. I just feel like offensively it can't do much. Defensively, it's limited, I think. So, not a big fan of it from that perspective. Things I like, Sneasel. It's kind of weird. I advocated it for it to be moved down because it lost Triple Axle and Knockoff, but then it got Knockoff back, so I was able to draft it here. So I'm really happy with that. I'm really excited to use Frostmoth, as I talked about earlier. Volcarona, I know it's a different Pokemon, big time different Pokemon, but Volcarona did well in a meta with Terra available. This is a meta with Terra available, and the Pokemon are worse than the ones Volcarona faced. So Frostmoth might get something done. Who knows? Mike's team. What do I... Okay, there's 2 Pokemon I dislike on Mike's team. I'd just love to know his thought process behind Hakamo'o. My guess, if I had to venture a guess, he goes, I need a fighting type. And he realized all the fighting types are shit. So he took Hakamo'o. Which I think is, you know what, I'm just going to real quick glance. And, like, I would probably take Primeape over Hakamo'o. Maybe he likes the roll compression of I've got a dragon and now I've got a fighting type. I don't think Hakamo'o is good though, but I'm prepared to be proved wrong. And then also Calyrex. Calyrex is kind of annoying in Ranbats, but that's because it's so bad that they made it a much higher level than everything else, so it feels better. But if I recall correctly, it's got like base 80 stats across the board, some sort of garbage like that. Oh, except for its HP, which is 100. It's not a very good Pokemon. I'm interested to see. I feel like it's there for the grass type, and that's it. We'll see. Things I like. I think Alolan Dugtrio is really nice in this meta. I like that a lot. It's good speed tier. Really reliable stabs. On top of the fact that it gets priority and rocks, and it's got all the coverage it needs. Not a lot of coverage, but it's got everything it needs. I like that pick. I'm really intrigued by the Samurott pick because we've never really been in a meta game where Samurott can really, like, has room to maneuver, and maybe it will now. Like, this might be the meta where Samurott does well, because, like I said, there's not a lot of great grass types. There's not a lot of great electric types, is what I had said before, and now the grass type thing is really a secondary thought. So maybe Samurott can thrive. Its speed kind of lets it down, but this whole meta is pretty slow, so we'll see what happens there. Logan's team. Stuff I like. Okay, I really love the Ursaring pick. I already kind of talked about how I feel about normal types in this meta. And Ursaring is also one of the highest attacking stat mons in this metagame. I'm going to double check that. Let's see. Crabominal's probably pretty high. Crab's 132. I don't think I have anything on my team that's over 130. Nothing on Mitch's team. Nothing on Zane's team. Nothing on Brett's team. So Crabominable and Ursaring have the highest attack stats in this tier, like by a significant margin. So that's fun. And Ursaring can obviously hold Eviolite, and it can like Rest Sleep Talk with Guts is honestly very potent. I know Logan doesn't like Rest Sleep Talk sets, but also like Swords Dance Quick Feet with Facade is also a reliable option. So I mean, seriously, watch out for Ursaring. I think it's going to be really good. The other thing I really love in this is Pyroar. As far as special attackers go, like Logan's got some of the most potent special attackers in the whole thing. Between Ampharos at 115 and Pyroar at 109. Let's see who threatens him. And that Rabsca at 115, not very good. Lilligant at 110, limited coverage. Frostmoth, obviously very good. One of the reasons I picked it. 108 Samurott. That's Mike's highest special attacking stat. 115 on the Emperor. Oh, we already talked about that. 105 is the highest for Zane, and that's Weird Ear. And then 130 on Glaceon from Brett. Very good pick, but obviously people know Glaceon's shortcomings, and we'll probably talk about it later. But I like the Pyro pick, I like the Ursaring pick. Just picking up pretty powerful stuff that's available. Stuff I don't like. Mighty Anna's not very good. It's just, I don't know what they did to this It's just got such... Its defenses are bad at 70, 70, 60. Its speed is too low. I mean, I know based on where you get it in the game, like they couldn't make this a busted-ass Pokemon. I get that. But there's some early game Pokemon that you get that are good, like Staraptor and probably others, but I don't want to sit here and go through every single gen thinking of. But like Staraptor comes out the next generation, and it's one of the better Pokemon. Yeah, Mightyena is just a little bit underwhelming. Like Intimidate's nice to have around if you get like a Moxie boost on like a Scarf thing, but you really don't want to be locked into a move. I don't like the Mightyena pick. Granted, I don't know what else was around at that point in time. Something else I don't like. I mean, I don't know. For the most part, I don't hate a lot of these picks. I was originally down on Chimecho, but then I realized, like, with Terra and, like, Calm Mind Stored Power, it's gonna be pretty solid. It'll have a matchup somewhere. Like, I guess by default, Wugtrio is my go-to bad thing. It's just Wugtrio's pretty fast, but it's got, like, Water's not a really good offensive typing, especially when you don't have coverage and you only have 100 attack. I'd say that's the biggest issue with Wugtrio. Yeah, it's not a big... Like, I think physical attacking water types. What else was available? Jeez. Kramer was off the board. Not that that's good. Love this. Okay, maybe he didn't have a lot of options. Poliwhirl's on this list, but come on, let's not seriously consider Poliwhirl to be like a Pokemon that anyone would have strongly considered. Yeah, okay, you know what? If you really wanted a physical attack and water type, I guess that's the way to go, right? Next, we move on to Zane's team. Stuff I don't like about it. We'll start with that first. Wow, actually, I'm looking. Alolan Golem. I'll say this against it. Well, first of all, I mean, I don't hate it. The struggles that it has is the physical attacking, attacking physically with electric stab is typically bad. There's just that that's not a successful realm, is physical attacking electric types. There's some like metagame reasons you could really dive into, and maybe those will be lessened in a limited metagame like the Iron Sheik. But just as a rule, physical attacking electric types aren't very good. That being said, Galvanize Explosion is very strong, so he might just get to nuke a Pokemon, and wouldn't that be nice, right? Another bad Pokemon is... I mean, You know what? I'm going to say Wigglytuff. It's got some things going for it. The fact that it gets competitive, so it could kind of discourage defog. It is a dual screener, which, hey, I'm not one to judge. I don't have a dual screener. So that's something it's got going for it, which I think is pretty good. And it gets, I think it still gets Stealth Rocks. Maybe that's a, oh, actually, you know what? Yeah, it does, right there. Yeah, it's not the worst pick, but I do think that one of the things against it is Fairy normal typing isn't very good. Even in this meta where like normal typing is pretty solid, and there's not a lot of steel types, there's also not a lot of like dragon and fighting types. So I don't think Wigglytuff really gets the play that you're gonna want. I don't think you're gonna be able to do the things you want with it. You can't. There's the Pokemon that you normally have a Fairy type check aren't really here, or at least in much more limited, less threatening capacities. Stuff I do like. I really love the Murkrow pick. Prankster Haze I think is going to be important because there's a lot of threatening setup Pokemon in this metagame, and having Prankster Haze to shut them down, or Prankster T-Wave if you want to go that route, that's really nice to have as an option. I do think it has its drawbacks in the fact that it can't hold heavy-duty boots, or if it does, then like it's way less bulky. I think its longevity is significantly lessened. I don't think it gets defog anymore. Someone can check. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm sure this doc has a way to check that. Yeah. So it does. Yeah, it does in fact not get defog. It does get Taunt, which is nice, Sucker Punch, which you're never going to use. But I really do, like, unironically, really like the Murkrow pick, something I was considering at a point. I'm excited to see Colossal here. We've seen Colossal used a little bit better in League format in recent seasons, and is decently bulky. It's got a lot of things it can do between setting up different types of hazards and spinning. I think that this might be a nice spot for Colossal. I'm looking forward to what he can do with Colossal in this limited metagame. And finally, we get to Brett's team, the Seattle Marinis. Oh, Primeape was off the board, so I guess I'll shut up about Hakimura. I forgot Primeape was available and gone. Stuff that's probably not good. Macargo's probably not good. Like, you need to get up like 2 Shell Smashes to really actually threaten anything semi-fast, and at that point, White Herb's not helping you. I really want Macargo to be good, just like because on paper, like, the fact that it is a fire type with good defense and it has access to recover, you'd think that would see some play, but it turns out like steel types tend to be good special walls because they resist stuff like fairy type and psychic type moves that you want to block specially. So you bring in your specially defensive steel types. So physically defensive steel types tend to be less good because they don't check the things you want them to. I think fire types kind of end up in the same role. You want them to be able to come in and take grass and fire and fairy type attacks. You're not as well off on the special defensive front, so maybe that's why Macargo struggles, on top of the fact that rock doesn't help the fire type at all, and it's just slow and weak. That's a problem. Sorry if you hear my dog chewing on a thing in the background. I'm not going to edit around it. So yeah, I've been shitting on Macargo enough. Another snail that I don't think is very good is Sliggoo, although I will say with its typing, it has a good special defense. It's like the right typing and the right stat distribution. I was talking to somebody about Duraludon recently, and Duraludon needs special defense, not the physical defense that it has. If Duraludon had special defense instead of physical defense, it'd be a much better Pokemon. But unfortunately, it doesn't have that. Sliggoo, I just feel like Brett might struggle to make anything happen with it. I don't know, we didn't see a lot of people use Hisuian Goodra. Even regular Goodra's really fallen off. Hisuian Sliggoo is like even worse than, it's obviously worse than Hisuian Goodra, and nobody really wanted to use it. So that might be a Pokemon he struggles with. Good Pokemon I really like. Shiftry. I think Shiftry got buffs in here that we probably kind of let Bright get away with maybe a little bit. So we'll see how Shiftry goes. Shiftry's going to be a really nice Pokemon for the way his team is set up. It's going to be effective, I think. And then I've already kind of sang the praises of normal types in this format. I think Tauros is going to be a big threat. Little surprise to anybody. So I think that about wraps it up. Thank you all for listening to this. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any thoughts or questions about Season 20. I don't know how frequently I'll be able to do something like this, but the occasions I can, I will. So thank you all for listening. I'll see you next week. Maybe goodbye.